All right. Hello, my name is Val Schwartz, and I'm the head of admissions at NC State's Institute for Advanced Analytics. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with one of our wonderful Master of Science in Analytics alumni. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Oh, yeah, my name's Elliott Bessell. I graduated class of 2019, and I'm now a data science manager at One Main Financial in Charlotte.
Thank you so much, Elliot. We're so glad to have you here today. And so let's hear a little bit about your background. You studied physics during your undergrad at Lancaster University over in the UK. So what prompted you to pivot to analytics, and how did you come to land at NC State?
So, in terms of my pivot to analytics, I did enjoy my physics undergrad degree, but I often found that it was very theoretical. To the point where I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it unless I wanted to do a PhD. And one of the aspects that I enjoyed most about it was when I got to do a project that involved quite a bit of coding. So I was kind of running with that and trying to figure out what I wanted to do after school, and ended up coincidentally learning about analytics, like an employment fair thing. And that sounded really interesting to me. So I ended up working analytics for a few years in the UK. And then I'd studied abroad for a year at NC State. That was 2014, 15. And I really enjoyed it there. So kind of wanted to somehow come back, and then found out about the analytics program at State through my wife now, who did the program a couple of years before me. And so I decided to apply and come back to State, and luckily I was able to.
That's fantastic. I love that story. So, as you think back to your time here at the Institute, what was the most challenging aspect of your experience in the program, and what was the most fun part of it?
I think the most challenging aspect for me was probably kind of the pace of learning. Like, I did do kind of a technical degree before, but there wasn't a load of kind of statistics. So that was probably the challenging part for me, was that all this kind of new knowledge, especially in statistics, coming at me so quickly. So that's probably the most challenging aspect for me. But the most fun part was definitely kind of all the time spent with kind of my fellow students, to be honest, kind of outside of class, kind of all the stuff we did outside of class, kind of the teams and stuff I got involved in, and all that kind of thing was definitely the funnest part.
That's great. And I love that. I love hearing that community aspect really resonated with you, and that you sort of kind of recalled that as one of your highlights. That's fantastic.
Definitely. And I still see people now. So yeah.
Oh, that's so great. That's wonderful. Do you work with any other alumni?
I do work with one other alumni at the moment.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I actually joined and spoke to him, and neither of us knew that the other was alumni, and we got chatting, and then it turned out we both were. So yeah,
Small world.
yes.
So, speaking of your job, what are some of the sort of key skills that you use day to day in your work?
I use like a lot of the skills I learned at the IA. Like my most recent project involved building kind of a machine learning model, which is surprisingly rare at kind of big financial companies. So I use that kind of day to day. Almost all the coding skills I use day to day I learned at the IA. And then kind of on a less technical kind of skill set, the communication side of things has been kind of super important. I actually have had a few comments recently about like how like my communication skills and the other alumni at my company, like our communication skills stand out compared to others in terms of like communicating both kind of to our immediate superiors, then also reporting our kind of results further up. Yeah, I've had good feedback that the communication skills have been well valued. So yeah, it's been super helpful.
That's good to hear. I'm sure that Dr. Sarah Egan Warren will be thrilled to hear that part.
Yeah, I was thinking that. When someone said that, I always think that.
So, what kind of projects do you enjoy working on the most?
For me, I think I enjoy kind of the more kind of technical projects. We don't get a load of those in banking, but you do occasionally get some. It's kind of the reason that I moved jobs kind of in the last six or 7 months, is because I found that there wasn't a lot of technical challenges at kind of some of the bigger places that I was before. It was all very kind of basic, kind of standard logistic regression models and stuff, whereas kind of the place I'm at now is kind of a smaller company, but kind of more of a startup vibe, especially because I'm working for the part of the company that's kind of a brand new product. But because of that, they're more willing to kind of accept the new ideas, and that involves like machine learning and kind of open to kind of different ways of doing things. So there's some of those more kind of technical side of things I've enjoyed.
That's really cool. And yeah, I would imagine at a startup you get to sort of wear a lot more different hats. That's exciting.
Yeah, and it's been nice in that it's not a startup. Like the company's been around for a long time, but they kind of recently started a credit card product, which is what I'm working for. So it kind of has that like startup vibe, but with the like much less chance of kind of everyone losing their jobs in the next few months. So yeah, it's kind of that backing of a big company, but with a kind of sort of startup vibe.
Kind of best of both worlds. That's great.
Yeah.
So if you think back across your education and then your career steps so far, what are some of the most valuable lessons learned or kind of key takeaways that you've had from those experiences?
I think I would say that probably one of them, the most one is that, which is not to say that the technical stuff is not important, because you do need to know, but that kind of gets you to like a base level. Really what's kind of got me any further than that is kind of the networking and getting to know people. I know it gets stressed while you're at the institute and you're like, okay, yeah. But then when you actually get out in your career, like it is really important. It's kind of get to know as many people as possible, ideally in different parts of the company, you know, not just in analytics. It's kind of get to know people, especially I've always had it said to me that it's really important to kind of have a really good relationship and be face to face with like a step above your immediate manager. They often I've found make kind of quite a lot of the big decisions, because in a couple of companies now I've reported into someone, but then the person above them has been kind of basically the head of analytics. So they kind of make almost all the big decisions. So it's good to kind of know them face to face and kind of have a good relationship with them, and kind of, yeah, get to know as many people as possible. Like the job I have now, I got because I got well connected with someone who was in my previous company, who helped me kind of, when I was looking to change jobs, helped me get this job. And I don't know what would happen if I hadn't had that connection. We'll never know. But a lot of other companies I reached out to at the time kind of never responded still. So I think it's one of the big things I've learned is it's really important to kind of make those connections wherever you go. So.
Absolutely. Not to say that your skills aren't important, but who you know also really does matter.
Right.
So, Elliott, you have been so gracious in volunteering your time to help us at the Institute with our admissions process these past few years. So, what do you enjoy about interviewing candidates for the MSA program? And do you have any pro tips for people who are in the application process and preparing to interview?
Yeah, I do really enjoy kind of interviewing students, because I know it's good to like have that connection. Like I'm hoping one day we might come back to, you know, hire from there one day, or we're actually might well be doing a practicum project this year. So kind of having that connection is good. And also it's honestly, it's good experience for me to kind of get familiar with interviewing people in kind of a relatively safe environment of kind of the IA session. So I really enjoy doing it for that, and kind of keeping in touch with the IA and students coming through. In terms of top tips for kind of people, I would always say that kind of you want to kind of give full answers, but don't kind of waffle too much. Like I always find those are the worst interviews that I've kind of been involved in, is that, you know, you ask someone for a simple answer on something, kind of tell us a bit about yourself, and we're still talking kind of 10 minutes into a half an hour interview. So kind of definitely like prepare for those kind of things, you know, definitely like prepare for, you know, some statistical knowledge and coding knowledge, kind of make sure anything on your resume you kind of can talk about very quickly and kind of in good detail, because kind of that's kind of fair game. So anything on your application / resume, definitely kind of burn up and make sure you can talk about, because that's kind of could easily come up in some way, shape or form.
Absolutely. And yeah, I hear you. You want a complete answer, yet also a succinct answer to each question. So
right. And definitely just practice with someone, you know, that's like would be a really good idea, like almost do like a mock interview. So, you know, because sometimes you don't hear yourself how long you're talking, kind of just when you're doing it. So talk to someone else, tell them what, you know, you want to sound like, and then check back with them afterwards and see if you actually did sound like that. So
absolutely. Feedback helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, Elliott, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today, and certainly look forward to having you involved in our admissions process moving forward as well.
yeah, definitely excited to keep staying involved.
Great. Have a great day.